401, South Lake, Texas versus Billy Chemirmir. After careful consideration of the arguments of all parties and statements given to the court, it will be the court will be submitting an Allen charge to the jury. Counsels, you may review it, and defense counsel, I presume you would like to renew your objections, correct?
Absolutely, Judge. We renew the objections we made on the first note that was sent out by the jury when the court was contemplating submitting an Allen charge, as well as the objections that we just recently submitted after the second note, where they restated that they were hopelessly deadlocked. And just for purposes of the record, we believe that this is an unfair comment on the weight of evidence. We feel like any decision made from this point, if a verdict is met, or if a verdict is reached, especially against Mr. Chemirmir, we believe the last juror would have been coerced and would have actively had to violate his or her conscience. We just want to make sure the record is clear in regards to that, that we absolutely object to any Allen charge or any further actual deliberations at this point, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. So your objections will be so noted and overruled. And what I will do is I will allow you to review the charge of the court before the bailiff takes it back to the jurors to continue their deliberations.
Judge, would it be possible to bring you in here and have you read it to them?
Yes, we can do that. We can do that.
And we object to that.
That objection will be overruled.
Judge, we object on page 1.
Well, then I'm going to put something on here. Can I just make that?
Yes, you can.
Judge, on page 1, we object to the sentence that says, any such future jury will be impaneled in the same way this jury has been impaneled and will likely hear the same evidence which has been presented to this jury. Mr. Warren and I have discussed this issue, and I can submit to the court right now it will be different evidence, and it will not be the same trial or the same evidence again. And so we believe that sentence should be excluded, and the second sentence should be excluded. The questions to be determined will be the same questions confronting you, and there is no reason to hope the next jury will find these questions any easier to decide than you have found them. So we object to those two sentences being in there and ask that they be removed.
All right, thank you, counsel. Your objections will be so noted and they will be overruled. The charge of the court will be read as such to the jurors. Bailiff, can we please get our jurors lined up and bring them in? All right, ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed your lunch. We are back on the record. In cause number F1875401, the state of Texas versus Billy Chemirmir. And having received a last note from the jury, and if you give me a moment, Crystal, do you have that, the last note? I believe that's the one. Having received the last note from the jury, which reads, Judge Jones, we remain deadlocked at 11-1. After additional deliberation, we perceive no change. And that has been signed by your foreman. I will be giving you an additional charge of the court. I'm going to read it to you, and then you will have the ability to take it back with you. Members of the jury, if this jury finds itself unable to arrive at a unanimous verdict, it will be necessary for the court to declare a mistrial and discharge the jury. The indictment will still be pending, and it is reasonable to assume that the case will be tried again before another jury at some future time. Any such future jury will be impounded in the same way this jury has been impounded, and will likely hear the same evidence which has been presented to this jury. The questions to be determined by the jury will be the same questions confronting you, and there is no reason to hope the next jury will find these questions any easier to decide than you have found them. A considerable amount of time and effort has been expended in bringing this case before you. When you arrive in the jury room, it is your duty to consult with one another, to consider each other's views, and to discuss the evidence with the objective of reaching a just verdict, if you can do so without violence to individual judgment. Each of you must decide the case for yourself, but only after discussion and impartial consideration of the evidence with your fellow jurors. With these additional instructions, you are requested to deliberate in an effort to arrive at a verdict that is acceptable to all members of the jury, if you can do so without doing violence to your conscience. Do not violate your conscience, but continue to deliberate. And it is signed by me, Judge Raquel Rocky Jones, presiding judge of the 203rd Judicial District Court. Bailiff, you may now take the jurors back to the deliberation room and give them the charge of the court.
All rise.